Hi guys, my name's Ellie. Welcome to my channel. I look like a ghost. I just realized. Matchy. Anyway, so this is my palette focus series. I pick a palette, I focus on a look that is almost entirely comprised out of here. Today we're doing the Natasha Denona Lila palette, and I actually want to try and recreate a look that the Daisey Girly did for her palette bingo with the Lila palette. She's actually panning it, so hers is very impressive. If you haven't been watching that, it's awesome. She's fantastic. And panning something this big, like, let me just give a little quick comparison. So these shadows are quite large. Ooh, I even have a comparison. I have the Tarte lid over here because I need to use a matte cream out of there, but like angle it so it's not, yeah. The shadows are smaller and these are quite deep, and just seeing somebody put all that effort and work into panning something this gorgeous but expensive is really cool to see. I think there is a bit of a habit of buying something really pretty and really special, or being gifted it, because this was gifted to me by my boyfriend, and setting it aside for special occasions. And I think it's really good to see somebody making daily use of it, making this their go-to palette, because you should use it. You spent a lot of money on this palette. You should get your use in. You should enjoy and love this palette, and it is lovely. I know I've done a 1 month one palette with this, and like, you could see this little section here is potentially a little scary. These are, you know, golds and peaches and nude colors, but they actually pair really, really lovely together and make a lot of gorgeous colors. I do have to run and grab a cream base, and then we will hop into the makeup. So, I had a whole plan to like do my rant about how amazing she and her channel are while putting on my priming stuff, but I didn't do that. The other thing I really like about this is A, her look turned out so pretty, and B, I like to see, I don't really know if tutorials are the most popular thing on YouTube right now, which is why I don't really frame these as tutorials so much as just like playing in palettes and seeing what happens. But back when I was much earlier into makeup and would really like a color and like hear great reviews and like be into a palette. Oh, I'm already out of breath just from talking so much. Need to go for a run. I would do a bunch of research, look at some videos, pick out a couple tutorials about what I would like to wear from that palette, and then I would follow them. And I remember being kind of, not upset, but like let down when something looked different, because eye shape, structure, skill, even just, you know, the standard error of I put this thing on my face and I went a little further, or this blended a little differently. I'm just putting a cream shadow down because I need to do that for blending purposes. I've already put down my primer. I use a Smashbox 24-hour photo focus eyeshadow primer. But yeah, coming to the realization that makeup was going to look different on me was part of my makeup journey. Realizing that it was alright to come up with something different and to change things, because there were tutorials that I didn't even attempt because I liked most of it, but I wanted to do something different, or I didn't like something they did near the end, or just any number of reasons that I was like, oh well, I can't do that. Not knowing that you can take a tutorial and modify it, or take a look and say, I want to do this, and just basically, you know, be inspired but take a different turn with the same products. And also, since I'm panning this, going to put this satiny kind of shimmery shade up on my brow bone. I've actually really been liking it because it's so soft and satin, which is originally why I didn't like it, because it's not quite bright enough to be like an inner corner highlight or like a good lid shade, but it does with just a nice little pap on the brow bone. But yeah, seeing palettes and products used differently, or being able to interpret what you want out of a look differently than what happens in the video, that was weird for me. I didn't want to do something differently. I was following the tutorial because I wanted to end up looking like the tutorial, and deciding that it was alright to change or to try different things or to not want to do the whole tutorial. I felt like I'm really weird about what I consider rude, and they're random things that my brain will decide is rude, such as not following all parts of a tutorial. Don't ask me why I thought that was rude. I did. So, the first thing, in her palette bingo, she pulled Nude Vino, Cyclone, Dragon Bite, and I think Layla? Yeah, Layla. So what she did was put that in the crease. She did kind of Cyclone on the inner third, blending out into Dragon Bite, with Layla deepening it up. I think I'm going to do the same thing, just maybe it's going to always look different on my face. But she also layered Dragon Bite over Layla on the lower lash line, but I'm not a big fan of shimmers on the lower lash line, whereas Layla for me performs a lot more like a satin. So I might use just that to deepen it and kind of just leave it as is. But I just want to see how it ends up on my face. So let's go into it. Let's start with Nude Vino. And yeah. Because these shades are... The mattes are really particular in that they show up very quickly. This is a brush from BH Cosmetics from the Crystal Quartz collection, and I found this is very good for shadows like Natasha Denona's mattes and the Clionadh Cosmetics palette mattes do that a little bit too. Not every shade, but some of them just end up really, really deep very quickly. So something like this that is very fluffy and doesn't grab a ton of product allows you to kind of like diffuse it out without getting too dark too fast. Which she mentioned that, the Daisey Girly, she's lovely, mentioned that as well, that these mattes, what they look like in the pan and what they end up like on your eye can be a little deceiving. Because this, in the pan, this looks like a really, really gray color. But it's got that rosy undertone that when it's blended out, it's just, again, it's a lovely kind of winey color. Unless I'm using the wrong one. Who knows? With the palette not having the colors on the, that little slip as opposed to super visible. Okay. Now I've been trying to not do this, but somehow I never blend out as far out on this side as this side, so I'm trying to keep them more even so my eyes don't look wonky. It's been a learning curve. So I'm going to take that same matte shade and blend it under my eyes. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah, see, that's just a really nice shade. I like it. Oh, and our lighting is horrible today because it's overcast. Because St. Louis is deciding to finally do fall. But we ventured out because it's my dad's birthday was earlier this week, so we're doing our family dinner this weekend, this Sunday, so I had to get him a gift. And he's hard to shop for. A lot of people in my family are hard to shop for, so I'm going to pick up Layla on that same kind of fluffy brush and just start kind of deepening. Which, that's another thing, is watching people pan things that you are like kind of familiar with but not that familiar with is interesting, because I don't know why, but I never I don't know. I wore Layla once or twice, and it just wasn't my favorite. But since I'm not a big fan of shimmers in my crease, even though this performs more of a satin, I hadn't thought about using it to deepen and like kind of darken up the crease, which that looks really nice. I'm going to take it also on the bottom. Yeah, I like that. I don't know why I didn't think about using this as just kind of like a deepening shade. But since she's been panning it, she's got all these great, useful ideas about how to, you know, work in these colors that I don't have that experience with it. Okay, now we get into the fun stuff. For the shimmers on me, I've noticed that they crease a little bit. Not like horribly they're gone off my eyes, but just a little bit in the crease of my eye. They tend to crease. So they work best for me over a cream base. This is Giorgio Armani's Eye and Brow Maestro in Platinum. This will hold shadows like nobody's business. So I pick it up on a little brush, and then we're just gonna put it on my lid and try not to get it too high into the crease, because I know I've had that happen in the past. Okay, so this will be the first test of what we can and can't do. I want to make sure I have, so this is just a little bit of Layla on the outer corner so we don't lose that depth. I'm bad at placing shadows on my lid and not having them overtake each other, but I don't want to lose either of these shades too much. So I'm going to start with Cyclone in the inner third to make sure, because that I really liked those right next to each other, and I don't want to lose too much of either of them. Yeah, because that is just a lovely color. I want to make sure it's nice and opaque. Yeah, and I think that gives us enough room for Dragon Bite on the lid blended out over into Layla, which might be something I'd try later, because she really was really into the look of Dragon Bite layered over Layla, and I'll get a little bit of that on the outer corner, but she did it like all across her lower lash line, and I think that was a little dark for my personal preferences. It looked really good on her. I've got itty bitty eyes, and she's got like these lovely large features that allow her to emphasize them with darker lower lash lines and stuff like that. I just don't what am I doing? We'll just put it over here. I got all ready to start like layering the colors on this eye that doesn't have the cream base down, so they would crease. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go back and forth a little bit, make sure everything's there. The lighting's not great, but I feel like having Cyclone there brings out some more of the red in Dragon Bite that often gets lost to the coolness of that green shift. I really liked the look. Like, I often like the looks that people come up with palette bingo, but there's just this option for them to go either super, super bright and not consistently within everybody's comfort zone, or to end up with just a bunch of really standard colors that, is not, it's not challenging, because I'm sure it's still fun and interesting for them to like play with, but it's not something that's like, oh, I didn't think to use it that way. I really liked how that came out on her eyes, so I am going to do it. Ooh, I think that got a little dark over there. Okay, so we'll do the exact same thing on this eye. So yeah, this also does lead into the things I want to do. I want to spend more time loving the products that are already in my collection, like this gorgeous palette. Because I used it a couple weeks ago, and it was gorgeous and lovely, but since I'm falling a little bit into the it's special, don't overuse it type category, and I'm trying to stop that as well as use it as an excuse. Oh, see, there's my quality again. The orange is stopping earlier on this side than on this side, because I am not consistent with my skills. So yeah, let's just pack that on. Yeah, you guys can't see anything. Hopefully, you can see the gorgeous look. I should have linked her video in my card so you guys can go to her channel and see how lovely it was. But yeah, I am into this. And I think I'm gonna go a touch danger, and I'm gonna mix, what are their names? Juno and Magnolia. So like this light shade with the gold, and try and make like a light gold inner corner highlight without going too crazy. We'll see what happens. So, a little bit of the gold. That's a lot of the gold. A little bit of Juno. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that mainly looks like I got Juno. But we'll do it again just to be even. And hopefully yeah, I know why Juno's so cold, because it is really frosty, and it does, you know, lend into a lot of things really well, but I just kind of wish it had been like a bit more gold toned. Let me just ever so carefully layer some Magnolia? Words. Yeah, okay, so I might have to get an angle that actually shows you what it looks like, but that is the finished look. These shades are so pretty. I feel like I just want to keep putting Dragon Bite on my lids, so I'm just going to put more on. They're the kind of shades that just, they're so nice, and you just want to just keep layering it forever. Dragon Bite was actually one of the big draws of this palette for me. Okay, I'm going to stop touching it, finish up my face, and come back and talk about how much I love this palette. So I thought I'd swing around, and hopefully this lighting would help you see the colors a little better. Finished up the look. I love wearing Lucky Clover from the Moonchild palette, which I am panning, with Dragon Bite. I think they go really well together, and I really like this look. I think it turned out really, really well. And thank you, Daisey Girly, for doing a palette bingo and finding a new way to work these shades in, because that would have been something I don't think I'd ever would have thought about, putting Cyclone there and blending it into Dragon Bite, and it's so nice, and I love new ways to use makeup that I love. So, that is the eye look. I felt very fall, so we added on a lipstick that I put on so badly. But I really had a lot of fun, and again, that's one of the things I really love about the painting community, is you find these lovely people who are doing stuff and trying things in a way that might be something you wouldn't have thought of, and you get great looks out of it, and you get excuses to use makeup you already have, and try something new, and have a lovely new look. I really just need to play with Lila more, because this is so pretty. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was fun for you guys. If you had any issues with the creasing, you now have a new trick to try. Cream shadows have worked really well for me. That's been the only drawback to Natasha Denona besides the price, is the fact that the shimmers fade a little bit without something underneath, but for the color story and the collection and some of the uniqueness of the shades, it's worth it for me. Might not be for you, and that's fine. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.